What's going on, everybody? Johnny Two Cellos here with another investigation animation, but this one is a little bit different. We're basically asking a pretty out there question. What if Steven Universe fused with every single person in Beach City? I said it's gonna be weird. Let's hit the title sequence.
Johnny Two Cellos!
Now, as I said before, this video poses one pretty out there question. What if Steven fused with every person in Beach City? No, not individually, I mean all at once. Is it possible? What would such a thing even look like?
We're in horrible pain!
Now first, let's look at what we know about fusion. We've seen a number of different fusions in the series, and as far as we know, any number of gems can fuse into a single being. We haven't seen anything that should lead us to believe that there's a limit to how many gems can fuse. That being said, the most we have seen at once is 6 in the recent episode, The Off Colors. If you remember, the gem Fluorite states that she is a fusion of 6 different gems.
Fluorite, how many gems are you now?
6. Maybe more if we meet the right gem.
Although technically one could argue that the cluster is a fusion of millions of gem shards, but this is obviously a very special case and we're going to touch on that a little bit later. Next, we need to look at a couple of the more unique fusions we've seen. First is obviously Stevani. So Steven is a wholly unique individual as he represents a hybrid between human and gem kind, and until the episode Alone Together, we didn't even know if Steven could fuse at all. Then of course he and Connie danced on the beach and our understanding of fusion as we knew it changed entirely. Now, to date, we've still only seen Steven fuse with a single human, and that's Connie, but the possibility of him fusing with other humans is definitely still lingering. For a long time, many people, myself included, felt that he was likely to fuse with Lars, but recent events definitely make me question if this is possible anymore. I guess the next question is, if Steven were to fuse with another human, who would it be? There are definitely some better candidates than others, but when it comes down to it, Steven is pretty tight with just about everyone in Beach City. I can't really think of a single person who lives in Beach City that doesn't like Steven.
Hey, Steven! You forgot your pizza bits!
Huh?
Steven! Let me reward you for being such a good customer!
The next unique fusion we've seen is Smoky Quartz, a fusion of Steven and Amethyst, which finally confirmed that Steven can indeed fuse with other gems. Now, even though we've only seen Steven fuse with Amethyst so far, I don't think I'm alone when I say that everyone is pretty eager to see him fuse with another member of the Crystal Gems. The fact that Steven is a human-gem hybrid raises a lot of questions in regards to fusing mechanics. We know he can fuse with humans, we know he can fuse with gems, but could Steven fuse with both simultaneously? Steven has always acted as a metaphorical bridge between the human world and the gem world, but what if he was a literal bridge via fusion? Will we ever see Stevani fuse with the Crystal Gem? I think that would be pretty cool. Another question is, can Steven fuse with more than one human? I think it's likely he can fuse with more than one gem, but human fusion is new territory. Could we ever see Stevani fuse with other people in Beach City? If so, is there a limit to the number of fusions that can take place? What if, and this is a crazy what if, but what if Steven could fuse with every person who lives in Beach City simultaneously? The gems have helped to protect Beach City for thousands of years, but what if Steven's ultimate purpose is to help Beach City learn how to protect itself? This sure seems like it could be a pretty cool way to continue Rose's legacy on Earth. Of course, the logistics of such a massive fusion are hard to imagine. If human fusion is anything like gem fusion, we know that the participants must be in perfect sync physically, mentally, and emotionally.
The new forms have extra body parts, and the combined heights and strengths of the fusers. But fusion is hard for gems that have trouble collaborating.
I'm great at collaborating! Yeah, right.
But I get along fine.
Such a massive number of people being in sync seems unlikely, but if we know anything about Steven, it's that he's great at bringing people together.
It's even more together and even more breakfast!
This is obviously all rampant speculation, but if Earth faced a big enough threat from the diamonds in Homeworld, maybe even some sort of massive diamond fusion, it would definitely take a lot to fend them off. Could a fusion of even all of the Crystal Gems hold them off? I'm not so sure. Maybe a fusion of Beach City's residents through Steven is exactly what would be needed to stop a Homeworld attack. Maybe such an attack could be exactly what's needed for that many people to get in sync emotionally and mentally. We also have the cluster to worry about, which is of course a forced fusion of possibly millions of gem shards, and I think it might be pretty fitting to see a huge fusion of an entire city's worth of people fight off a massive abomination of gem fusion. This is of course still rampant speculation, but what if the only real way to stop the cluster was for another large fusion to fuse with the cluster itself, then unfuse entirely, allowing the shards to return to their original state? We're still not entirely sure what exact threat the cluster poses other than mass destruction, so I imagine combating such a threat is going to require a pretty intricate solution. Now honestly guys, I don't really think that this type of fusion is all that likely, but it does help facilitate a lot of different discussions about fusion, and I want to hear your thoughts on this too. Do you think we'll ever see Steven fuse with other humans? Will more than one human ever fuse with Steven at one time? Can Steven act as a fusion bridge between gem and humankind? Please let me know what you guys think in the comments. Alright you guys, thank you so much for tuning into this incredibly speculative edition of Investigation Animation. Honestly, maybe I should have just called it Speculation Animation. Thanks anyways for tuning in, and do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and of course, stay tuned for more.
Johnny! Two Cellos!